One of the best things about 3D printing is that you can always 3D print stuff to make your 3D printers better. Most of the time. People are always, making new trinkets or add-ons for 3D printers. Like for my P1S and PX1C, I have the AMS riser, which was a pretty big print, but it was worth it, I think. Because, it gives you... The big thing about the AMS is that you can't get in the top when it's on there. And when you get the riser, you got a little space to move around. It's got storage. Big fan. I like that. And after I found that thing, I was looking around on there for more stuff, and I came across an A1 add-on for an automatic plate changer. And I was like, that looks pretty cool. Maybe I'll do that. And then by the time I got all the files loaded into Bambu Studio and sliced out, and I saw how long it was going to take, what materials cost was going to be, or how much I was going to have to use, I was like, do I really want to get involved? Do I really want to commit to this? Because am I going to use it that much? And I decided not to. And that was kind of the last time I ever thought about the A1 automatic plate changer thing, until a company that I had never heard of, Hictop, reached out and said, hey, do you want to try our A1 automatic plate changer? And at first I just ignored that email because I had already been down this road. I knew it was something I wasn't really going to use that much. Did I really want to even look at something like that? So I just kind of didn't say anything. And then I ran into a situation where I was like, wow, an automatic plate changer would have been helpful, which is something I thought I would never say. What had happened was I had to print a bunch of things, a bunch of parts for work, and I was printing out a TPU, and I was using my A1 at home, and I had to make let's say 15 of these things, but I was printing them object by object, so I was only fitting 2 of them on a plate, so I'd run 2 off, I'd have to come down, clean them off, switch the, put the plate back on, restart the printer, and repeat this over and over again. And I was like, man, I could have actually used an automatic plate changer. So I decided that I would, after that experience, send Hictop a message back and saying, hey, if you still want to send one over, I'll take a look. Today's video is sponsored by DuckDuckGo. I can guarantee you that you've had this happen to you. Say you're just minding your own business. You take a little stroll out to the mailbox and notice, hey, your neighbor, they're getting a new roof. Curious, you Google, what's a new roof cost? Oopsie. Next thing you know, every single pop-up ad on the entire internet is trying to get you to buy a roof. Google, YouTube, it doesn't matter. Everywhere you look, there's somebody like roofers in your neighborhood. Price of new roofs. Is it time for a new roof? Roof. Ask me how I know. They aren't even hiding it or trying to hide it anymore. Well, I may have a solution. DuckDuckGo. Yeah, you know the search engine, DuckDuckGo? Well, they also have a web browser. DuckDuckGo believes the best way to protect your information is just not collect it at all. Crazy. DuckDuckGo protects your personal information from being stolen, harvested, exploited by the internet at large. Unlike Chrome, which we all know is hoovering up any snidbit of data that they can find, DuckDuckGo is designed to protect your data, not collect it. Even if you're just learning, DuckDuckGo now has a web browser. Millions have already switched over from Chrome to DuckDuckGo to help combat the internet's insatiable need for your data. DuckDuckGo is free. They make their money from privacy-respecting ads, not targeted roof bombardment because you've searched it one time in your entire life. Chrome, it was one time. DuckDuckGo is available on Mac, Windows, iOS, Android. You can download DuckDuckGo from DuckDuckGo.com or anywhere you get your apps. And it's easy to switch. For example, after fighting off millions and millions of ads from Chrome for roofers in your neighborhood, use Chrome to navigate to DuckDuckGo.com. Kind of the same way we all used to use Internet Explorer to navigate to Chrome to download it. Well, now we're going to download DuckDuckGo from Chrome. It's the circle of life. It continues. So if you're online a lot and you want to feel safe, or you want to use AI, but you don't want to feed the AI all your data, or if you just want to search what's the average price of a roof in my neighborhood because you're curious, not because you want to see every roof advertisement on God's green earth, just head over to DuckDuckGo.com, use their search engine, use their browser, and make life a little bit easier. I know I will. Now, when I opened up the box initially and saw it filled with 3D printed parts, it looks like this stuff is printed out of PETG. The print quality is okay. I was kind of bummed out. I don't know why, but I was just kind of thinking about if you bought this and you open up the box and you're just like, wow, it's a whole bunch of 3D printed parts for my 3D printer that I could have 3D printed myself. I just was like, yeah, it's kind of a bummer. And then after checking the Amazon page, or the Amazon reviews, and not being inspired or reassured by that, I saw that Bev was also pretty upset about this.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just...
But after my initial knee-jerk reaction that was egged on by Bev, I kind of thought about it as I started to put this together, and I was like, what does it even matter if it's 3D printed, or if it's injected molded, if it's ABS, if it's PETG, if it's, I don't know, titanium? As long as it functions properly, who cares what it's made out of or how it looks? And even though things were a little rough, like people would say the print quality is a little rough, I myself, I'm a little more lax in the print quality department as long as things function. Everything went together very easily. All the holes lined up. There was no out of alignment type deals. The magnets were already installed. It was essentially a pretty well designed little setup. The directions were very easy to follow. They had pictures. Things made sense. It was a very easy assembly. And honestly, even though I felt like Bev, I was like, as soon as I opened this up, I was going to be like 1 star, boo, 3D printed. After I put it all together and looked at the design and how easily and well it went together and the work that went into the instructions and how simple and to the point they were, I was more back on board. The only mistake I did make is that on the top here, you got these little actuators, so you got the actuator cable for the little front plate grabber. I put them on the wrong side, but it was pretty obvious once I started running the print head up and noticed that the fingers that are supposed to actuate it were never going to come close. So I just switched them because they're not screwed on to anything. They just clip onto the frame, and it was just an easy boop. And it was up and running. And then I was like, how do I even make this thing work? It's obvious that I can't just go to Bambu Studio, slice up a model, and then just throw it over Wi-Fi to the printer. It's going to print, but it's not going to swap any plates out. And this is where things get a little bit annoying. You probably remember back when in order to operate your 3D printer, you had to take your little micro SD card out, you got to throw it in your computer, you got to slice a model, throw it on the micro SD card, and then plug it back into the printer to print. Nowadays, it's pretty standard for us to just throw things over Wi-Fi back and forth to printers. It's like if you have to use an SD card, you're like, what am I buying right now? But that's what you got to do here. You got to take an SD card, and instead of just slicing your model in Bambu Studio and sending it via Wi-Fi, you have to save it. You have to save that slice file to, like, I don't know, your downloads folder or directly to the SD card. And then you have to go to Hictop's website, and then they have like a software thing you can click on, and in the browser, you can upload that file, tell it how many plates you got, how many copies you want to make, and then export a slice file back to the SD card. And then when you print that on the printer, it will print as normal, but then the G code is added into that slice file so that it will, once it's complete, it'll go through the cycle of changing out the build plate. And it's actually pretty darn easy. I mean, it sucks having to do the old SD card thing that we all thought was normal back in the day, but it's not that hard. It's not like you have to download any software. You just got to go to the website, throw your stuff on there, and then export what they give you, and then you're off and running. And it works most of the time. I did have an issue one time where the build plate kind of fell off these rear magnets and it started to dangle. And if I wasn't standing there watching it, which I was because I want to see how fast it was and how it worked and how many times it would do it successfully, it would have crashed. Now the printer probably would have noticed the crash and stopped it, but that was a bummer. Other than that one time, it pretty much went flawlessly. It would print apart, kick out the plate, and then insert or install a new build plate and then just start printing again. And another good thing is that, so the A1, the X1C, the P1S can use the same build plate. And after you add this little add-on part so that the front grabber can grab it, this still can fit in the printer and print just fine. You don't have to take this off and on. So that was something that I thought was pretty beneficial. And after using this thing and seeing it work and seeing it fail that one time, what do I think about it? Is it cool? Do I want one? Do I wish I would have printed one way back then? Is it something that I probably would never use? Am I just indifferent to it? For the most part, for someone like me who doesn't do a lot of batch printing other than that one situation where I had to print a bunch of stuff for work, I'm kind of indifferent. It is cool. It does function. It had that one hiccup. But for me, I probably wouldn't use it that much. If I would have printed this thing out back when I first looked at it, put it on the machine, saw it function, I would have thought it was cool. But I probably would have took it off eventually because I just don't have that situation where I need to run the same part off consistently, and I don't have an issue with a lot of downtime between print complete and print start. Also, a downside of this thing is it makes your printer much, much larger. We're talking roughly from front to back 34 inches, where the regular printer itself is, I don't know, 16. And if you have the AMS, that's a lot of real estate you got to take up with this thing. And where I normally like to put this printer, it wouldn't fit. I don't really want to find a new spot. And I don't, just like I said, do enough batch printing where this is something that I need 24/7. So to me, this is like a niche product for a very specific customer, and I am not that specific customer. But just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean that somebody else out there might think this is like the best thing in the world. Like what I can think of is somebody that's running a bunch of A1s in a print farm might see this and be like, that is perfect, because what it essentially will do is limit that downtime. It'll make your printing more efficiently. And somebody would probably want to buy this thing rather than have their printer print it. Now, if you're printing parts in a print farm, you're making money when the printers are generating parts for customers. And you don't really want to shut them down to print out a kit to retrofit them to make them print maybe more efficiently. You probably just want to buy this, which at the time of the recording is like 87 bucks, which is not too bad. Yeah, you could probably print it out, like you could get a free version, print it out for cheaper than that, especially if you're using like a cheap PLA, maybe even PETG. Now it might cost more if you start printing in like higher end filaments, but for the most part, you could probably print this out cheaper than what you can buy it for. But again, if you're running a print farm, all that downtime that you're printing these for your printers to hopefully improve their throughput is money wasted when you could just buy these, and when they show up and your printers are naturally down, throw them on there and continue right afterwards. So for somebody with a print farm, they can just set these up, come down the aisle, pick up all the completed build plates, clean them off, and then come back through and reload the magazines while the printer is just constantly running. I can see this as a good pick. Me personally, although I like it, it works pretty good, I don't see me keeping this on here. So in the end, this is the kind of product that its value is kind of dependent upon what you use your 3D printer for. And for some, it is going to be the best thing ever. And for others, it's just a cool little add-on. If you got the space for it, you might like to have it. Till next time.